Why do some people struggle with money while others make the right decisions and build lasting wealth? In this mini-series, Dr. Matt and I explore the psychology of money and the behaviors that quietly shape financial lives. Y'all, money's emotional. It's tied to fear, identity, habits, and even relationships. And we've learned that long-term financial success is as much about behavior as it is math. Even the best financial plan can be undone by poor behavior, while good financial behavior has the potential to compound more powerfully than investment returns. In this series, we explore why people struggle with money, how emotions drive decisions, and how habits shape your financial life. This is the stuff about money they didn't teach you in school, Psychology Edition. This is the Stuff About Money They Didn't Teach You in School podcast. I am your co-host, certified financial planner, Eric Garcia. And joining me today for this series, if you've been tuning in for the past 3 episodes, is Dr. Matt Morris, family therapist and couples counselor. This is going to be episode 4 in our series on the psychology of money. In episode 1, we talked about mindset. Episode 2, we talked about emotions being signals that something might be happening underneath. Episode 3, we talked about motivation and habits. And in this episode, we are talking about your past is a chapter, not the whole story. We're talking about past financial mistakes and the impact that has on your ability to grow your wealth. Matt, appreciate you always adding value to our listeners. I know we've been doing this for quite some time. You have added a lot of value to me in my practice and to a lot of our listeners. So welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And likewise, you've added so much value, like literally, to my life. So thank you so much.
Like money. Okay, cool.
Today we're talking about money regret, right?
Money regret. I got to imagine that in your everyday, you come across people who are stuck because of some past mistake. Now we're talking about specific financial mistakes. Tell me a little bit about that. What do you see out there in the real world with your clients?
Well, it's a gambit of things, a variety of different things. People who overspend, people who plan to save but don't, people who are in way more debt than they would like to be in, people that are in secret debt that they haven't shared with their spouse. But generally, it's just people that are, living beyond their means, spending more than they intend to, and not saving enough. It's that kind of stuff. And then the ways that creates pressure for the relationship, which I think we're going to talk about in an upcoming episode.
Yeah. So we all make financial mistakes.
Yeah.
In your mind, what differentiates a problem where we're letting mistake become an identity for us that's preventing us from moving forward versus, hey, it's a mistake I've learned, I moved on?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there is a difference between a bad decision and feeling some guilt about that and feeling some regret about that decision versus shame over that decision, carrying a burden or weight of like, I screwed up, past tense, but I screw up with money. I made a bad decision with money, past tense, versus I'm bad with money, sort of globally and holistically. I think that's the difference. I don't know if you want to get into this, but I made a bad financial decision when I was younger.
I'd love to hear about
my wife and I still laugh about this. When we were on our honeymoon, we bought into a timeshare in Mexico. And it was a terrible decision. I mean, number one, we didn't really have the money to do it. Number two, we didn't really understand. We weren't fully educated about what we were doing. Number three, there were some sales pressure tactics that we succumbed to. Number 4, we really didn't understand like all the maintenance fees and all of that. And there was no recourse. It was in a foreign country and we really couldn't do anything about it. And so it was a bad decision and we lost money, and that's okay. We learned a ton from it and we laugh about it now and we've moved on. We don't continue to make those mistakes. And that's a difference between, a money mistake being definitive of our identity versus a money mistake of, well, we fell down a hole, we got out of that hole, we moved on, we don't go down that street anymore. That's the difference.
So is it something where I continually make the same mistake over and over and over again, which is clearly problematic versus
Yeah.
I made a mistake maybe once or twice and I'm learning or I've learned
And
my
I'm
lesson
learning from it. Right.
from it. Okay. But
Right.
then there are also some other mistakes or financial setbacks that are kind of that kind of drive identity that might not necessarily be perpetual, but like they're so big that we're just stuck in it,
What are you
right?
thinking of? What are you
So,
thinking of?
for example, a client who has racked up a lot of debt, student loan
Yeah.
debt, retail debt, credit card debt, and they come to
Yeah,
realization like, I got to tighten up. But then like, it's just brutal, right?
for sure.
Interest payments. Um,
Yeah, you can get far enough behind that it's not an easy fix, right?
yeah, and how do you handle that? Because sometimes these situations, that think of like a divorce, right? Divorces are very expensive. Now, there's some people who like serially get divorced and like it's like big expense after big expense. That's problematic. But typically, you don't see like a divorce and another divorce and a third divorce. You do see that, but that's a big, kind of identity driving, or maybe not identity driving, big financial cost, bad financial chapter that could really derail your wealth building um, potential. But how do you talk through a little bit about how do I overcome something that's big, mentally and emotionally,
Mm,
so that I
mhm.
don't allow it to derail me moving forward? Maybe that's an issue of mindset, but we hear it. We hear it often. I hear it with clients. I'm sure you hear it with your clients that I'll never be able to overcome this.
Yeah,
Right? I can never. It's too big.
yeah. Well, two things. One more clinically focused, and then one a little bit more strategic for our discussion today. But number one, when you're ready to deal with a perpetual plaguing problem, you want to start separating yourself from the problem. And the first way to do that is linguistically, using your language. You want to start talking about, I am, I am bad with money. I'm languaging the problem into me. I am bad with money versus I am sometimes bad with money.
Hmm.
You can hear a little bit more distance all of a sudden. I have at times been bad with money.
Or I made a couple bad decisions.
I made some bad decisions versus I am bad with money. So you're starting to separate me from the problem.
And
And
that seems like, I mean, real quick. It almost seems like we're separating the identity of someone who's bad with money versus a decision that was made that was a
yeah,
poor decision.
yeah. I mean, money management is a set of skills largely. And so as long as I have the mindset or the schema or the script that I am bad with money, it sounds like no matter what skills I learn, I'm always going to be bad with money.
Mm-hmm.
But when I start to separate myself from the problem, I can say, I have been bad with money, or maybe even I didn't know how to manage money back then, or I didn't have the skills to manage money. I was doing the best I could back then. I didn't know.
Yeah.
In my own experience with the timeshare, man, I went into that with the best intention. I was thinking what I was going to do is prepay vacations for my family for the next 50 years or something,
Mm-hmm.
travel for me is
Yeah.
important, with my family in particular is
Yeah.
important. So I thought I was doing something great. Nope, I got duped. And so instead of saying like, I am susceptible to financial schemes,
Hmm.
I would say I have been. I was
Yeah.
once susceptible to a financial scheme, and I learned a lot from it. I didn't know then. I've learned since then.
Yeah.
Um, and then secondly, now then, because I'm separating myself from the problem, now I might engage some sort of learning material, some sort of educational process. Either I'm going to read, I'm going to study, I'm going to watch YouTube videos, I'm going to hire you, and I'm going to learn how to budget, I'm going to learn how to save, I'm going to learn those strategies that we talked about in a previous session. So Now I'm going to start filling in my deficits so I don't succumb to the problem in the same way I previously did. So that's one way. Second strategy is just the mindset that, like you, as the title said, just the mindset that this was a chapter, not the story. That is so critical to condense the problem down to a chapter rather than my whole identity. That's a subtle, simple, easy shift, but very powerful.
Yeah, I like. I'm gonna add one more to this, but I want to go back to this idea of just. I really liked how you put it. Just kind of language it differently.
Right.
Right. I am.
We live in our language.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about this in the context of, as you were saying, I was thinking in the context of raising a kid. Like, you don't tell a kid. I mean, we do all the time as parents, but like you catch yourself, like you're bad, versus you did something bad. If we tell a kid enough that they're bad, they're going to think that they're bad. And what do bad kids do? Bad things.
Act bad.
Right. Yeah, they act bad. But if you tell a kid, hey, you did something bad, you're a good kid, you did something bad.
Yeah.
Well, you're
bad choice. Good kid, bad choice. Yeah.
Yeah. So now they're starting to think like, hey, I'm a good kid. How do good kids act?
Right.
Right. And I always think of this analogy when I was actively working out at CrossFit. Our coach, she would call us her athletes.
Yeah, I love that too.
Middle-aged, little overweight, out of shape, but she called us our athletes. And I would think about that like, no, I'm Jody's athlete. What does an athlete do? An athlete shows up to the gym. An athlete makes good eating decisions.
Yeah.
And in that languaging of, hey, I'm an athlete, changed a little bit how I acted. So I think this is really powerful. And if you're struggling with a poor financial decision in the past, or an event that happened, no fault of your own, that triggered this domino effect, because that happens as well. Something happens out of your control.
Yeah.
An expense, an illness, a death, and it kind of spirals. And I think that's something that needs to be understood, that like, it's not always a decision you made. Sometimes we're dealt a bad deck, but identifying it, languaging it appropriately, and then creating almost and I think I want to end here because I think this is powerful enough. Creating a tactical approach to start overcoming. So, for example, let's say you're buried in debt, and this is one that I see more regularly, and I think people can maybe identify with this. You're covered in debt, maybe student loan debt, retail debt, credit card debt, and you want to get out of debt, but you just can never seem to get ahead. Right? Well, if you make a small plan and you strategize on small wins and you celebrate those small wins as you go, that reinforces this idea that, hey, I can do this, I can overcome this, that is a chapter, the story is still being written. So it celebrates small wins, along the way based on the plan that you have created to get out of or overcome that bad chapter, so to speak.
Separate yourself from the problem, then go get some financial literacy to fill in the gaps so you don't continue to make the problem.
That's good stuff, man. I like that. Yeah. So if you made a past poor decision, or if something happened to you that caused a series of poor decisions, that doesn't mean your future is shot. It doesn't mean that it's can't
not too
have
late.
Financial success. It is not too late. I have seen it. I have seen people change their fortunes. Clients that you and I have worked with together. It's just amazing to me that when you commit to something, the changes that can happen. Matt, this was good stuff, man. I'm actually gonna think about how I talk to myself, like what I tell myself about.
You're an athlete, buddy.
I'm an athlete, man. I'm gonna go play golf after this. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Sure.